Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and welcome to another episode of Did You Know? Now that the Grim Sky DLC is just around the corner, I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to do another one of these kinds of videos, because while the two new operators are fairly simplistic, they do have some complexities that may not be exactly obvious. And so first of all, I want to take a look at Clash. Now I'm sure you guys are already aware that when she has her shield deployed in front of her, she has the ability to shock the enemy. This does a pretty insignificant amount of damage. It does about around 3 damage per hit, but its real benefit is that it will slow the enemy's movements. Did you know, though, that you can actually slow the movements of multiple people in front of you? Now, originally I assumed it was some sort of chain lightning effect because this is a shock ability. I assumed that if you were aiming at someone directly and then another target got close to that player, that shock components would chain on over and you were able to slow multiple targets. That's actually not the way it works. You don't even need to look directly at anyone with this gadget to actually cause that slow and that shock effect against the targets. You guys will notice here that 3 people are directly in front of me and all of them are getting shocked. But as soon as that middle target goes away, the 2 on the ends are still getting that slow effect. And so really, it just allows you to have massive crowd control against practically anyone in front of you. This even extends on over to offensive shield operators. Now, they don't take any damage, but if Montaigne is pushing Clash, even if he's fully extended, he is going to be snared. This also includes everyone directly behind him. Even if you can't see the target, if it is within line of sight normally, even if that Montaigne is blocking, they are also going to be snared by this shock effect. The real kicker, though, is that it also has a 13-meter range. This isn't like Blitz, where you need to be 2 feet away from your target to actually use the gadget properly. You can be a fair distance away and still slow them down, giving anyone that's trying to assist you on the defensive team a massive advantage. And then finally, when you do shock someone, it also has a lingering effect, which seems to last about a second, where even if you aren't aiming directly at them or using your gadget, it will still slow down their movements. And so a really good strategy when you are playing as Clash and you need to switch on over to your secondary weapon to take care of someone, maybe you're the last one alive, maybe you just found the opportunity to take someone out, I would highly recommend to shock them quickly, maybe duck behind cover so they don't realize that you're switching on over to your secondary weapon, and then pop your head out and try to take advantage of their slow movements. It goes away fairly quickly, but if you are able to slow them down, of course, they're not able to dodge and make themselves a harder moving target, and that is going to also give you an edge in those situations. So that's also a nice component of Clash. Now, moving on over to Maverick, though, that's where things get really interesting, and I have a feeling that Maverick, in the right hands, and when people actually get comfortable with him, is going to be one of the stealthiest operators that has ever been introduced into this game. So a lot of us, when he came out, assumed that he was going to be a replacement, or at least a substitute to Thermite and Habana. He has the ability to open up reinforced walls. Why wouldn't we assume that? And while he will still be useful in doing those actions, we'll get to that here in a second, I feel like his main use will be opening up small little holes stealthily. His gadget is very quiet right now, and then taking out targets that just are not expecting those walls to be open. Now, if you do want to open up holes to actually get into the objective room, it takes a fair amount of skill and a steady hand if you want to do it without wasting a lot of fuel. Maverick doesn't have a lot of fuel reserves, and so you need to be conservative with it, but if you time it properly, you can make a hole, which you guys are seeing right now, which only goes through one of your fuel canisters. Now, admittedly, I'm not perfect with it, but I have seen people actually perform this, and so if you do it properly, you can make this small little rectangle here, which will actually allow you and anyone on your team to crouch on in and get onto the objective. Now, it does leave you very vulnerable while you're going through this process. You need to be careful, but it is absolutely possible. Now, one thing that is worth noting is that if you're having a difficult time getting the timing down and you're not getting those consistent holes being opened on up in a straight line, for example, you can aim down sights. If you ADS, it will significantly reduce your turn speed, making it a lot easier and a lot more reliable to make those holes in the reinforcements. Now, this method does use a lot more fuel. It is not the most efficient way to get through walls, but if you are struggling to get those consistent lines across so they can actually open up a wall for you and your team to pass on through, I highly recommend aiming down sight until you do get more comfortable with this gadget. Now, one thing I know many people are going to be curious about is is, will you actually be able to use his gadget to open up a mirror? And the answer is sort of. So you won't be able to just cut the mirror in half. That won't be possible. But if you aim directly below where you assume the canister is going to be, you can actually take out the canister with the gadget. It is risky because, of course, anyone on the opposite end is going to be able to see you, and they could probably shoot you where you are through that hole, but you can absolutely take out the mirror from the other side. Other than that, you're gonna have to waste a lot of fuel outlining the entire mirror. I heard that you're able to maybe take out the supports somehow, and that may not take as much fuel, but really, why would you do that if there is that other option? And then finally, Maverick has to be one of the best operators at dealing with every single one of the very durable gadgets in this game. You want to make a little peek hole in a castle barricade to basically turn the tides and give yourself an advantage, especially if you have a Blackbeard, you have every ability to do so. You see an Evil Eye, mosey on up, quickly switch on over to your gadget, and then zap it for a split second. No more Evil Eye. This also extends on over to Barbed Wire. Now, they are going to be nerfing it. The example that I'm showing you right now isn't how it's going to work when you go live, but even still, you're going to be able to take out Barbed Wire from a distance and also do it stealthily. You don't make a lot of noise. This isn't like Sledge, where you whip out your hammer and are able to one-shot it, making a significant amount of noise. You can do this from a couple meters away, still take it out, and it isn't going to give away your position as long as no one is directly next to you. One thing that is worth mentioning, though, is that Maverick is not perfect, and he does have some weaknesses, and one of them is the fact that he's not very efficient at opening up reinforced hatches. Normal hatches, no problem. It takes him a split second, but reinforced ones take a significant amount of fuel. Maybe I don't understand the proper way of doing this. Maybe someone's figured out a way to do this a lot more efficiently, but it seems like you need to really sit there for a long time to actually open it on up. This just reinforces my point that I made earlier, that Maverick isn't designed to be replacing Thermite and Habana. He's going to assist them. So if you do need to get through hatches, don't expect your Maverick to sit there for like 10-20 seconds to actually get through one of these, because it really just isn't the best use of his kits. Another weakness of him is that he's not the best at vertical gameplay. He can open up holes directly above him, and that is one thing I was surprised by. I'm not sure if this applies to every single map. I didn't test every map in the game, but if there is a soft ceiling above you, you can actually aim on up and open up some holes. So if you want to take out a mirror above you, or you want to take care of some gadgets, or if you kind of expect someone to be right where you're aiming, you can actually get line of sight on them. He's not very good at it, and once again, it uses a lot of fuel, but that is one sort of strength, but also weakness of Maverick as well. And so all in all, I think Maverick is the one operator that I am most excited for when this DLC releases. The amount of versatility and ways that you're going to be able to use him are staggering. I cannot wait to see how he's going to change up the meta. I don't think he's going to be useful on every single objective and on every single map, so I don't think he's going to be overpowered, but he's definitely going to be changing up the way that we play the game. The final couple of things I wanted to mention are a few Easter eggs that Ubisoft has added into the game, and the first one takes place on Clubhouse. I'm sure you guys are already aware that you can play pool. You shoot the balls, they go into the little holes, you got pool. Well, now, if you actually get a ball into one of the holes, it lights up a little bit on the fringe of the pool table. Nothing crazy, doesn't really add anything to the game, but it was a nice little touch that they just added with this update. And then finally, on the updated version of Hereford Base, if you make your way on over to the Spitfire Courtyard spawn for the offensive team, you'll of course notice that there are 2 Spitfire planes. There is a plaque directly below both of them that basically states that these were restored to vintage condition by Marius Streicher. I'm definitely butchering that name into oblivion, but that is the real name of Jaeger. If you go on over to his bio, it's right then and there. And so this was one way that Ubisoft added in a little bit of flair, a little bit of lore into the game, and I think it was a nice touch to add into Hereford. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Did You Know? I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have found any really unique Easter eggs on the new TTS or on the new Hereford base. I wasn't able to find anything too crazy. There might be something really hidden like they did with Tower, but only time will tell at that point until people really scour the map. But if you have found anything, let us know down below. I cannot wait for this DLC. Even though these operators seem really simplistic, they also have a lot of complexities, and I really feel like they're going to be changing up the game in a meaningful way, so I cannot wait for that. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, Have a good one, and take it easy.